morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to take a look at the top 10 cards from Terastal Festival. Now, there is a chance that this also becomes the top 10 cards from the English version of the set Prismatic Evolutions. However, we do not have the set list for Prismatic Evolutions yet. It is absolutely possible that a bunch of Japanese promos and things of that nature actually get put into our set that weren't in Japan's set because they already had them. We'll have to wait and see about that. For the time being, here's a top 10 list. Is it the best set ever? No! Of course it's not the best set ever. It's not got that many new cards. But there are two cards that make a huge impact on the meta. And I've one which is absolutely absurd, and then a bunch of other cards that are very, very much worth having a look at, having a play with, and could find themselves in some decks. So with that borne in mind, let's start off at number 10 with the new Ace Specs. There's two of them, and they both come in at number 10. Right now, I'm not seeing them popping up in a lot of decks over in Japan, where, remember, Terastal Festival is now legal. But they both have a huge amount of potential. Max Rod lets you put 5 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy from your discard pile into your hand, which is awesome. And Treasure Hunting Gadget lets you search your deck for 5 Pokemon tools, which is awesome. Now, it must be borne in mind, very important, that we just have a lot of Ace Specs around right now. And a lot of really good Ace Specs. That's the biggest issue with these two cards. But make no mistake about it, there is potential here with both of them. In at number 9, the lowest of the evolutions. I'm sorry, I'm popping Glaceon. And here's the thing, Glaceon actually has a lot of potential. 2 energy, 110, plus 30 to one of your opponent's bench. Fine. And remember, with things like Sparkling Crystal, that can be used turn 1 going second quite easily. We've also, remember, got the new Eevee that you can evolve turn 1 if it's in the active. Massively helps. Those two cards together will allow this to attack turn 1 going second pretty consistently. But then we've got 1 grass, 1 water, 1 darkness, instant KO on a Pokemon with 6 damage counters. There is so much potential here. I'm not seeing it pop up in decks yet. And the energy cost is a little awkward, I grant you. But I'm just saying there is potential here, and although it's not seen play yet, and although I put it in at number 9, don't sleep on this one. This one could be good. In at number 8, I'm putting Umbreon. I like Umbreon. Umbreon here, and again, all of these evolutions could well end up mixing and matching and changing places and all of that, so please bear that in mind. But it's not here for the free energy 160 plus confusion, and also super annoying that it's free energy, not 2. Yes, I know you can use double turbo, although honestly not for long, rotation is coming, but then it's down to 140 plus confusion, which is fine, but then you got to find your special energy turn 1. I like being able to attack turn 1 going second with Sparkling Crystal basic energy. But then we've got Lightning, Psychic, Darkness. Discard all energy from this Pokemon, take a prize. This is why this gets up to number 8 for me. Because the idea that you can just take a prize, love it. Yes, it's a bit awkward in terms of energy. Yes, you have to discard it all, blah, blah, blah. You get to take a prize with no ifs, buts, or maybes. That, to me, is good. Now, in at number 7, I'm grouping together Jolteon and Vaporeon. And the reason I'm grouping together Jolteon and Vaporeon is because, firstly, I'm seeing them in a lot of the same decks. Secondly, I think we're going to keep seeing them in a lot of the same decks. You see, the thing we've got here is they both have the same second attack. Fire, water, lightning, 280, you can't attack next turn. And they've both got pretty useful attacks for 1 coloured, 1 colourless energy. And again, Sparkling Crystal turns this into a single energy attack. Eevee evolving turn 1 means that you can use it turn 1 going second. This is good. Now what we've got here is Vaporeon, 2 energy, 60 to each of your opponent's EXs. Every EX of your opponent's 60 damage. That gets a lot of damage on the board. That is going to add up quickly. Jolteon's a bit different. It's 2 energy, 60, but you can discard up to 2 basic energy from your bench Pokemon, and for each one discarded, you do 90 more. And essentially here, you need to be using Glass Trumpet. Glass Trumpet puts 2 energy from the discard onto your bench colorless Pokemon, 1 onto each of 2, and then that gives you your 2 energy to hit, well, 240. And you can legit do turn 1 240, going second, with Jolteon. That alone is exciting to me. So yeah, both of these are pretty cool, but I think they are going to remain grouped together, and I think it is fair grouping them at number 7. In at number 6, yes, you're going to see a bunch of Eevees here. They are the exciting new Pokemon, a lot of them. We've got Leafeon EX. I just think Leafeon's a little bit better than these two, honestly. And I like Leafeon, and I'm seeing Leafeon popped in decks where it's a bit awkward because you've actually got to muck around with new energy, but you know what? It's worth it. Now, what we got from Leafeon is free energy, grass, fire, water, 230, and you heal 100 from each of your bench Pokemon. Nice. But mostly, it's 1 grass, 1 colorless, 60 damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. That's why I love this. Again, the combination with Sparkling Crystal is tantalizing, because you just attach it and then it's 1 colorless energy. Yeah. And it just punishes your opponent. Like in any deck where you're playing Eevee anyway, this becomes a really easy tech card, and then you can just really punish your opponent for having energy on the board. And I like this. I think this Leafeon is great. I think in terms of tech ability, this might be the best one. So why am I putting Espeon at number 5, one step above Leafeon? And the answer is because I think this is going to force its way into competitive decks more than Leafeon is. Now, what we've got is free energy, 160, and you get to discard a card from your opponent's hand. Not too bad, honestly. Decent damage, and you get to do a little bit of hand disruption. And doing a little bit of hand disruption is nice. It's a kind of thing that's going to hurt your opponent. But more, I like this second attack. And what you essentially do is just devolve each of your opponent's Pokemon by 1 stage. You take the highest stage of each of your opponent's Pokemon and shuffle it into your opponent's deck, such that they're not allowed to immediately just evolve back up into it, because they've got to actually find it to evolve. This could be brutal. This could absolutely hurt a lot of decks. This could be the kind of thing that completely wrecks decks. Like if your opponent's relying on rare candy and you use this to get rid of all of their stage 2s, but oh look, they're out of rare candy, they can't evolve back up again. This is going to be brutal. I'm actually seeing this over in Japan popping up in some Terapagos decks, which kind of makes sense, because in Terapagos decks you're already playing Glass Trumpet a lot of the time. Or at least you can be playing Glass Trumpet. And that means that you can essentially get Glass Trumpet to get the energy on, then evolve into this and start smashing, because you can evolve from an Eevee and all of that. So I'm just saying, this one I think has more potential to actually be really competitive. I think if you're playing Eevees anyway, Leafeon becomes a phenomenal tech, but I think Espeon might end up being legit. So why am I putting Flareon at number 4? Basically, Flareon is the best of the Eevee evolutions here. I feel pretty strongly about this, and this was always going to be the top Eevee evolution for my money. And the reason is very simple. It's not the second attack, which incidentally is the same as Jolteon and Vaporeon have. 2 energy, 130, and you get to grab 2 basic energy from your deck and attach them to one of your Pokemon. Yes, they do have to be attached to the same Pokemon. It's great. Honestly. Again, you can use your Sparkling Crystal here, but if you're in a fire deck, for instance, you could use Magma Basin very briefly before it rotates out, but you can. And to be fair, you do have to have it on the bench and Magma Basin and then get it in the active. It's not easy, but it's doable. And then you're doing 130, turn 1, going second and accelerating 2 energy from your deck. This is the best of the evolutions because it can set up basically anything. And frankly, any evolution deck is going to use Flareon as the engine, as I showed you the other day. So I think this is at number 4. So why am I putting Eevee at number 3? I underestimated Eevee. I'm going to be honest with you. In my videos leading up to the release of Terastal Festival, I didn't speak highly enough of Eevee EX. I apologise. Eevee's great. Now, Eevee EX isn't actually good. The card as a whole isn't good. What it is a 200 HP card that evolves into any of these Eevee evolutions. And this opens up new lines of play, like something like Glass Trumpet. If you're using the Surging Sparks Eevee, which is still great and you should definitely still be playing for the turn 1 burst effect, evolve straight away and roll, we got 50 HP. Great for turn 1, get it in the active and evolve. Terrible for leave it on the bench, use Glass Trumpet to accelerate some energy, worry about evolving later, because you got a pathetic 50 HP. Eevee EX has 4 times that number of HP. It's up at 200. So you legitimately can Glass Trumpet on and worry about evolving it later, and that's it for me. I just think this opens up so many options for other evolutions because you can just have it on the field. You don't have to worry about evolving it yet because it's got 200 HP, and essentially it makes every other Eevee evolution from the set better, so it has to be higher on the list. It just does. Sorry about that. Now, this is where we get a real line being drawn because these top 2 are way better than the others. In at number 2, Regigigas. And it's a really clear 1-2 in this set. Let's be clear. Very clear 1-2. Regigigas is phenomenal. 4 colorless energy, 100 damage. Terrible. But against a Terra EX, it does 230 more. 330 in total. It's great. Absolutely brilliant. There will be the odd 340 HP Terra EX, which you're just going to have to deal with. I'm sorry. You're 10 damage short. Get over it. But there's going to be plenty of Pokemon out there like Charizard, for instance, which is great, that you'll just be getting a straight one-hit KO on. Like Dragapult, for instance, which is one of the very best decks in the format right now, which you'll be getting a straight one-hit KO on. Make no mistake about it, this is phenomenal. Any deck that can accelerate the energy to it easily will play this as a one-off. Right now, Lugia, because of Archeops, it's in every Lugia deck. It has to be in every Lugia deck. You can accelerate the energy with Archeops. It is literally too good not to play. Right now, Baxcalibur decks aren't that good. No one's really playing Baxcalibur decks. But I guarantee you, if it comes back, people are going to be playing one Regigigas in here. It's only good in decks that can accelerate lots of energy consistently. But I feel very strongly that in every deck that can accelerate energy consistently, this has to be played. You have to play this in all of them. It is that good. Don't think about it. Just put one Regigigas in your deck. Or more, even if you want to. But if you can accelerate energy consistently, you have to play Regigigas. It KOs too many things, frankly. It's too good. But in at number 1, come on, it's Budew. Like, it has to be Budew. Budew is too good. It's a basic Pokemon that for no energy does 10 damage and stops your opponent playing item cards next turn. And the thing is, because it's for 0 energy, you can use your energy attachment for the turn to retreat your active and then put Budew active. In any deck that isn't having a really fast start, this is pretty much the best turn 1 play you've got. Like, if you've got a really fast turn 1, if you're playing one of these Eevee decks and you're going second, and you've got your Sparkling Crystal and you can go nuts turn 1, then yeah, obviously don't use Budew. But unless you're in that kind of situation, use Budew. It is popping up as a one-of, honestly, in just an absurd amount of decks right now. It is ridiculous how much play this is seeing, and I don't see this changing anytime soon. This is a ridiculous card. It is far and away the best card in the set. And like I say, this and Regigigas, when we get to EUIC, which is a huge international tournament where this is legal, expect to see Budew everywhere. Expect to see Regigigas in every Lugia deck and any other deck that can accelerate energy nicely. Everything else on this list, you might see it pop up here or there, but we have a clear 1 and 2. So there we go. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these cards you think is the best. Tell me which are too high. Tell me which are too low. Remember, you can't just put a card up. You have to move a card down to make space. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Uncle Pokepeter, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.